Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to FabScraps project number 7, and today we're going to visit an older collection from FabScraps, and it's Life is Beautiful, and it's C106. Now I've done a quick overview of the actual collection to show you the papers because I wanted you to see how beautiful the designs were before I cut into them. And just, you don't see me on the overview, but it is literally an overview of the collection, and it's just a quickie. But today's project is truly gorgeous, and we're following on with our theme of love and romance and using our photos. So I think you might enjoy today's project because it's just something a little bit different. Please remember to give me the thumbs up, and you can share my crafty videos with your crafty friends. You can always comment on YouTube or on Facebook, and you can find me at the links at the end of the video. So let's have a look at today's project. So following on with our theme this week of love and romance and using photos for our projects, this is today's photo. Now I've printed it off, it's in black and white, and it's myself and my husband on our wedding day. You can see in the distance there's a little bit of Dracula mist going on there because it was quite late on in the evening. It had been a very warm day and it was starting to get a bit colder on the evening. I've cut the photo down into just less than 4 inches, and I've already made a frame for it. Now I've used a set of nesting dies, just squares, to make the thin frame. So nothing too ambitious or too much for new crafters. So it's just a simple frame that I've put round the photo. Now the first thing we're going to need for our card for using our gorgeous Life is Beautiful collection is our base card. So this is an 8x8 inch size card, square and red. And if for any reason, for my friends across the pond or elsewhere in the world, if you have trouble getting hold of 8x8 cards, try a different size. Try the size that you're used to working with if you prefer a smaller card. Or if you can manage to make your own 8x8, have a go. Because at the end of the day, it is all about having fun. So you don't have to stick to what I use. You might think you've got something even better in your stash and you're happy to use that. So I'm using the 8x8, and as always with every card, or I try to with every card, use my bone folder to make sure I've got a nice sharp crease along the edge so that when it stands up on the mantelpiece, it just looks nicely professional. I've also used my handmade stamp on the back so that if I give it to somebody, they will know that it's made by me. So don't forget to use your handmade stamps or labels. Now we're going to start off doing the insert of the card because this tutorial is no different to any others. We're using the FabScraps Life is Beautiful collection, C106, for anybody that wants the collection number. Now we had a quick look at the overview to see what there is available in the collection, and one of the papers that we saw was called Love Grows Here, and this is exactly what I've used for the insert. I've cut it down slightly so that we've got maybe ½ an inch around the edge for a layer of the back side of the card so the red colour shows through. So I've cut the paper down, and I've also stamped on it. I've stamped using some of my own stamps from my stash, so you could use any stamps that you have. I've stamped in the corner, Grow Old With Me, the best is yet to be, and then I've stamped vertically the word forever. So just 2 stamps, and I've used a permanent black ink to stamp those. I've got flat tape on the back of the paper. See, I keep saying paper, keep doing that, and it's card really. So we're placing it inside our card like that. Now already that's a great insert without doing anything else to it, but we are going to just do something a little bit different. Now on the front, because we're going to go for not a fully mixed media type of front, but just something a little bit different. And we're going to add a little bit of black to the front, which you've seen from the photo, so we want everything to tie in. I've cut out a black square. Now this is actually the square from the frame that I cut for the photo. So I'm not wasting anything. I've got flat tape on the back of it, and I'm going to position it roughly about there on my card. Then I've also used the square from a second frame that we're going to be using on the front, and this is the inside of it. And I've used a happy anniversary stamp, just a stamp at the bottom. And I've got this on flat tape as well, so I can peel the back of the tape away. And I'm going to position it just offset of the black square that we put down. So you're just going to see the corner and the side of it. Now I've also die cut one of the papers, and the paper that this has come from is Roses Are Red. I've used, this was actually a Spellbinders die, and I've just cut it because I want to cut this in half. So what we're going to do is, we're not using it as it is, and this is going to be the same principle for the outside as well. And I'm just simply snipping that through the centre. And I'm going to take one of the pieces and I'm going to just position it to the top of the two squares for the insert. Don't really want it to cover the butterfly, so I'll just wiggle it a little bit upwards. There we go. And then the second one I'm going to add just underneath, not centre, I'm going off centre a little bit, like that, press it down. And then to finish the insert, I've cut out using Mr. Snips. I could have used a craft knife, I could have used big scissors, but I used my tweezer scissors. Just cut out a little red rose, and I'm just going to add it to the corner, to that section. So now we've got our insert. We've got a nice amount of space to write our to and from, and a little message if need be. It's nice and ornate, and it's going to match the front perfectly. The collection, the Love is Beautiful collection, is so beautiful. It really is. It's one of those collections that you don't really want to cut into because you don't want to spoil it. So, but we have to use what we have. So now we can turn our attention back to the front of the card. We're going to make sure our crease is still nice and sharp, and we're going to add a layer to our card of just general black cardstock. Now, I could have been frugal with this, but I thought I'm going to keep it so that I've got the entire card covered because of the lighter colour of the layer, the next layer that we're going to use. And we're not covering all of it, so you might have seen a little dip if I'd have been economical with that and cut any of it away. So our next layer is from the Roses Are Red card from the Life is Beautiful collection. And all I've done, I've cut it down to size. I've stamped husband and wife from one of my own stamps in one corner, and then I've stamped happy ever after in the other corner. So this is kind of showing you don't always have to stamp in a straight line. You don't always have to stay in uniform fashion with your stamping. So hopefully, because I really like vertical stamping, I think it adds that little bit of something extra. So I've also used an embossing folder and tapped the ink on the embossing folder, and I've just simply touched the paper onto the embossing folder to pick up the ink. I haven't embossed it, but I just wanted the pattern. It was a honeycomb embossing folder. And then where the butterfly is, I've used some glossy accents to highlight the butterfly. So I've done a few things to it, but I had to do the glossy accents so it would dry, because now I'd be in such a mess if it wasn't dry. So I've got flat tape on the back of it, and I'm simply placing that layer over our black layer. So now you can see how the black makes that layer just stand out so well. So you can see we're going for the theme of red, black and colour for the paler colours, and it just works. So now we need to add a few things to our card front, even though it would work as it is, and it just, you know, you could just put a bow on that and give that, because the papers are so good. So I'm going to take my photo first, and I did mention that I'd die cut another frame, and I've die cut the frame from Love Grows Here, and I've simply just used the same size die squares that I used for the black layer. So I'm going to simply place the frame over the photo like so, and I'm offsetting it like we did the offset for the insert. So for this, it kind of makes it look black at one side and then shadowed in the middle. And what I'm going to do is I've got flat tape on the back, so I'm just going to lay this onto my card, roughly about there, I would say. I don't want to cover the flowers up too much, so roughly about there. Next, do you remember the shape that we used on the inside? I've done the same again, and I've die cut it and I've cut it in half. I've already got tape on it, and I'm simply going to just slot it under the photo and at the side, just like we did for the insert, like so. There we go. Oops. Next, I've used the Making Memories sheet to make a rosette, a paper rosette. I used my Tim Holtz die to make the small rosette. I've got double-sided tape on the back of it, and I'm simply going to add it to the side of the photo, just at the side of me. There we go. I've die cut a simple heart and layered it and stamped the word love on top, and I'm just going to add that just under the rosette at the side of the picture, like so. Next, I've taken the beer board, and this is part of the collection from FabScraps, and I've used a red ink, and then I've heat embossed it with clear embossing powder, and then I've done it again because I wanted a really high shine on it, so I've heat embossed it twice, inked it twice and heat embossed it twice, and I've got 3D foam on the back of it. Now I'm going to put it slightly over the photograph and put it about there, I would say. There we go. Now I've also used Mr. Snips for the flowers as well, and again you could use your craft knife or your scissors, whatever you're happy using. I've cut them out from the sheet, and I'm just going to simply add them just to one corner like that. I have 3D foam on the back of those, and then to finish the card I've cut out one of the butterflies, and I'm simply going to add that to, I would say, just underneath the flowers. Now you see I'm getting indecisive now. To the side, to the, oh dear. Just stick it down, Anne-Marie, I can hear you. I can hear you shouting. And that is our card finished. Now we've got everything positioned, we can press it down, make sure it's all in the right place and it's not going to move. And how cool does that look? I do love that collection, Life is Beautiful C106 from FabScraps. It is just so pretty. Look at the insert, it's a card in itself. Now this would post in a normal envelope. The only thing you've got higher is your little rosette. So it depends on how you make your rosettes, but I would say that will go in a normal envelope. It'll stand up proud and definitely a mantelpiece pleaser. So I do hope you've enjoyed watching, and over to me. Wasn't that another great project to be able to use your photos with to make something a little bit different and to make a keepsake, following on through this week's theme of love and romance and using photographs? I do hope you've enjoyed it. Please give me the thumbs up and share with your crafty friends, and why not comment on YouTube and say hello on Facebook or Twitter even, or even Instagram. All the links are at the end of the video. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.